Episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, we have former Ohio State Buckeyes defenseman Lauren Boyle. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast, Lauren, and how's it going?
Thank you for having me. It's going well.
Yeah, and
Sorry, summer's just getting started here, so actually things are going very well. It's nice.
yeah, it's very weird. Fall is just happening right now here in the U.S., so it's kind of weird thinking about the season change like that.
Yeah, I love it though. It's nice when everybody's having their cold times. I'm like laying on the beach every day. And it's a different way of life over here.
Is the summers in Australia, is it like cooler? Or is the winters in Australia like in July cooler, or is it like same as it would be here in the summer?
It's cooler where I live. It's almost like the same climate as California in reverse. You can picture Sydney as LA, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how's your quarantine been going, and what have you been doing the past few months to pass time?
Well, we don't really have so much of quarantine here. We had it for 2 months maybe, um, in which I was working in hospitality. I was working at a restaurant, and I lost my job because we just weren't open. And then after about 2 months, everything started to ease back up. Restrictions were lifted slowly and slowly. Now I have two jobs. It's basically my whole life over here. We had our first no case day last week, and everything seems to be going in the right direction here. So it's just getting, looser and looser on the restrictions. So
That's crazy.
everything feels really good.
That's crazy that there's been a day with no cases. I can't even imagine that happening here.
Yeah, there's just so many less people in Australia.
Yeah.
And I think we really jumped into quarantine as soon as possible. And that kind of took care of the big wave of cases. We never really got hit so hard.
Yeah, well, that's good for them. But here it's been tough, every few months you have to go back into no, pretty much lockdown. So, but I'm doing my best trying to handle all of it.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. All my family says it's just not getting any better and
Nope.
maybe even getting worse. And they're really tired of each other and they just want to leave. Yeah.
No, I wanna start talking to you before you went to Ohio State. You're originally from Los Gatos, California. How did you start playing hockey and falling in love with the sport in an area where hockey isn't that well known?
So I actually changed my hometown halfway through my college career. I actually grew up in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. I was born in Toronto. So coming from Toronto, moving at the age of 6 to Minnesota, it was just like hockey was literally the natural option. And then after I went to school, my family kind of decided to make a change and head out to California together. They were ready to do something different. And somewhere in there, I just decided to, that's where I call my home. So that's what I decided to change my location. So yeah, it wasn't so much that I was trying to find hockey in a place where it wasn't really popular. I was right in the midst of it all the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's kind of like I don't know. I guess it was kind of a sick joke that I played on everyone, changing my hometown so many times.
It says Los Gatos, California on the Ohio State website, so I just assumed
Yeah.
that you were from there, but I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
Now, who was your favorite player growing up, and what part of their game do you try to emulate to your game?
Oh, favorite player as a kid was Curtis Joseph. Was a goalie. I have no idea why. Always thought I had that little bit of crazy that some goalies have, but obviously never went through with it. Next to that, I would probably say Pavel Datsuk was next in line in my favorite hockey players. I loved the Red Wings, if you can't see the trend. They won the Stanley Cup the year I was born, so I don't know. I think we just were destined to be team and fan. It's just effortless. What he does just looks so beautiful. and he's so underrated. Wasn't one of the like most flashy players out there, and he's kind of small, and I'm kind of small, so kind of worked out for me. Then I moved on to Drew Doughty. I don't know. I think California was calling me in some way, and I don't know. I absolutely love how everybody hates him. He's just kind of like scrappy and rough and does what everybody's very involved. He's very offensive. He's, I don't know. He's one of a kind for sure. So I always liked that from him.
Yeah. Did you ever emulate any Pavel Datsuk moves on any goalies during your time at Eden Prairie or at Ohio State?
I actually learned one of his shootout moves. Um, and I used it, I think, twice. Once in an actual shootout and once in a like just like a breakaway, and they worked both times. So
Nice.
yeah, it was awesome. Love that.
Now, playing for Eden Prairie High, how did you get the opportunity to play for that team, and what did you take away from that experience?
So in Eden Prairie, um, I think I just went from being like a little kid there. Um, my goal was to like play on the varsity team. I didn't have like Olympic dreams since I was 6. I had like high school varsity team dreams when I was 10, you know. I think it was me and 2 other girls, Charlie Dahlquist and Angie Heppelman, that made the team as freshmen in high school, which was like a big thing for us because we were kind of like the 3 musketeers. We're always, always, always together since we were like 7 years old. We were best friends. And then I think just like, I don't know, we just kind of all decided that we were going to set ourselves apart and kind of break away from the pack. And it really just like showed, and we kind of stuck together through it all to make it our first year. And then throughout high school, I kind of just learned that I wasn't a big girl. Like I was a small person, and I never really was because I've been the same size since I was 11. So when I was 11, I was a really big girl, and I had to learn like everybody was just growing past me, growing past me, growing past me. And I think the most valuable thing that I did in high school was get really strong. And that kind of set me up to be recruited well for university, just because I was like lifting lots of weights, and I was kind of replacing my height with muscle, which was, I don't know, very supported in my team, in my high school and stuff. So I think I'm still holding some weightlifting records in my high school record wall.
Now, how
So
did playing at Eden Prairie help you prepare for college hockey specifically?
I think I definitely built leadership skills that I didn't have before. Um, as I got older, I was a captain in my senior year of high school. And I think that taught me a lot, just like really about like putting your team ahead of you every time. Um, my coaches at Eden Prairie were excellent. They were very fair. They had great communication, and they also just like really um, pushed me hard, but also with respect, if that makes sense. They were only pushing because they know I deserved better or deserved the best, which, I mean, I definitely think I got going to Ohio State. Um, yeah, I don't know. What else? I think as a playing on a team for the first time with girls that were 3 or 4 years older than me, that was a big setup for college as well, because you have people who've played on this team for like 3 years before you, and you show up on day one. You have to like really, really respect the girls that come before you, and kind of have this more of a like a culture piece, like more traditional sense when you join a team that has more history. Um, so when the girls have been together for years and years, and even before that, they've been together for years and years, and there's a banner, a plaque, picture wall where you have all of the past teams, past captains, past players, everybody's name written up there. Like, it's like set in stone that like this is our foundation and this is what we stand for. And I never really had that on a team. When you're growing up, you just, sometimes you play with a team for 30 days for a showcase. And then sometimes you end up playing with girls for your whole life. Like Charlie Dahlquist, I said, I've been best friends since we were 7. She ended up going to North Dakota. And when she went to North Dakota and we played against each other, our freshman year was like the first year we ever played against each other, ever. Never even came across this circumstance once. But yeah, it was just, and then she ended up transferring to Ohio State her junior year once their team got cut. I don't know. So that just like sense of tradition became very, very valuable to me, I think. And I think Eden Prairie was a great setup for that. Heading into Ohio State, which is like the crown jewel of all tradition in as far as like college sports goes.
Yeah, and you said you were a smaller defenseman. Was there any adversity you had to face trying to get noticed by other schools and Ohio State?
I mean, I straight up had some coaches tell me you're just too short. Clearly that wasn't a Ohio State problem. But if you look at some rosters, like the Gopher roster by chance, like almost every single one of their defensemen is 5'8" or taller. And I'm like 5'2", pushing 5'3", 5'4" on the roster if you want to play it that way. So yeah, I just literally had some phone calls with coaches being like, "You're just too short," and that was it. That was the end of the phone call. That was the end of the conversation. And I was like, "All right, you don't see the value, then see ya. I don't want to."
Did it feel good to
play where
prove them
my
wrong?
style's welcome. I had a great prove wrong moment that we can get into at some point. But yeah, it did feel really good. Even it motivated me, to be honest, when I played against a coach that wasn't interested. And then either playing really well, scoring goals, something against them was like icing on the cake.
That must have been cool. Do you have the story right now, like who it was against or what team specifically?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my favorite prove you wrong moment was when I was trying out for the USA Under-18 team. I had a coach tell me that I just wasn't very good and I probably should stop trying to get recruited, and I'm probably not going to play college hockey. And yeah, that was kind of it. And I was just a little bit like, and she had a history with USA Hockey. And junior year, dun, 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 Ohio State is now really good at hockey for some reason. We went from being below 500 to being amazing. I think we just like, I credit a little bit of Nate Handerhan, who recruited me and recruited the girls above me and 1 year below me. And then I never actually got to play for him with a bunch of coaching changes, but I'll give him a shout out there because he recruited character more than raw, like talent, and I think we just kind of like decided we wanted to be good, and we got there. Of course, with the help of Jenny Potter, who coached me my freshman year, and then Nadine Muzerell, who coached me throughout the rest of my career, of course, them as well. But my junior year, we made it to the NCAA tournament for the first time. And the first team that we're going to play is Boston College. And my nemesis is now the coach of Boston College and best friends with my head coach. And I ended up scoring the game-winning goal that sent us to the Frozen Four and kicked them out of the NCAA tournament. And it was just a very, proud moment for me, I guess.
That's
And
awesome.
I think me and my dad had this moment that like right after the game, right before I saw him, my dad's been my biggest fan since I was like born, basically. He just like worship the ground I walk on, in a good way. um, but I think he and I had this moment right at as um, the players were coming up from the locker room after the game, and the first thing we said to each other was, "You showed her like you in your face, blah blah blah." Like that was the moment where we both knew exactly like how much that moment meant to me. That was kind of like the biggest like disheartening that I'd had as a kid, like trying to grow my hockey career and then turning that into my favorite, most like proud moment in myself as a hockey player. Um, so that was really cool. That was a good, really good flip of the switch for me.
Yeah, no, I had a one moment where BC was playing UMass, and my sister went to UMass, and they were like ranked pretty high, but everyone thought BC was going to win. And BC scored 2 goals to make the game 2-0, and then UMass tied it 2-2, and then BC scored a goal late in the game to make it 3-2 or 3-3, I think, to tie the game. And then UMass scored like with 1 second left to win the game, and it was just awesome because it showed how the school like broke tradition and beat BC. So it's always good when BC
Absolutely.
loses sometimes.
Yeah. We love when BC loses sometimes. That's awesome. I love that.
Now, you also played golf in high school. I saw that. How did playing another sport help your hockey development? And do you have any tips for me when it comes to golf? Because I'm awful at it.
um, oh, I joined the golf team because I was like bored. I um, I always played golf with my family. Um, it was just something we did together, and I enjoyed it a lot. I started playing a lot with my dad in high school. We ended up having to move houses in Eden Prairie my freshman year. Had a little bit of a fire in our house. So we had to move, and we moved on to a golf course. So we joined the golf club, and I ended up golfing all the time. So I was like, wow. I used to play soccer before that, and I was a goalie because really my body was not built to run whatsoever. And I don't know, I just kind of like lost my passion for that because I was like really competitive in it. And but hockey was taking all of my time, and I was gladly giving hockey all my time. So I was like, okay, what can I do that's not going to get me injured? That's not going to overlap seasons, and I don't know, be outside for once. So I joined the golf team. And my first golf match, I dislocated my shoulder.
Oh, wow.
And I had one of the longest injuries that I've had playing the least intensive sport that you can play. Um, it was just kind of ridiculous, to be honest. So that was just like, okay, so I want to play something else. Should I go back to soccer? No. Should I try tennis out? I don't know. I've always liked tennis. Should I try that out? No, you're gonna get hurt. Do something else. Golf. Great. Okay. Big injury. Great. So yeah, as far as tips go, when you get to hole number 12, uh, don't hit the ground.
Well, it's not chipping is my problem. It's putting. Putting, I'm awful. I have like the
Oh, I'm
yips where
terrible.
I have trouble like missing the hole, and I like take 5 shots just to hit it in the hole. When like I'm decent chipping and driving, where it's like 2 shots and I'm right on the green, and then the putting comes and it like makes my shot count so much higher than it would have been if I just didn't have the yips.
I think hockey players have to rely on their driving because you have to get to the green quickly as possible because once you're there, you're toast. Like it's going to
Yeah,
take you all the rest of the shots you can have to make the putt because we're all horrible at it.
yeah.
I'm one of those people who sends it all the way across the green on a 5 foot putt.
Now, speaking of recruiting, why did you choose to go to Ohio State, and what was the recruiting process like?
Ooh, um, gosh, this was so long ago. Every time I think that this was like 7 years ago, I'm like, wow, I'm so old. Um, I don't know, recruiting for me was, I thought it was important to go a little bit of ways away from home. I didn't really want to stay in Minnesota. I didn't want to stay so close. So that, I mean, immediately kind of gets rid of 5 schools, I guess. Um, but, and I didn't want to live in North Dakota. Sorry. So that kind of left like Wisconsin and Ohio State as far as the WCHA goes. And then I was looking Ivy League because my mom is a very, very smart lady. She went to one of the best universities in Canada, and she was like, oh, if you can go to an Ivy League school, you got to go to an Ivy League school. And I was like, well, I'd never get in if it wasn't for hockey, so maybe I should give it a look. And I was like, that was something cool that I could, like, really do with my life. And I think when I toured a few Ivy League schools, and a couple other East Coast schools, um, I just didn't have that spark. I didn't have that connection. I think the closest thing I had was Princeton, and they gave me a ACT score that I had to meet. So I took the ACT 5 times. The first one, I took without tutoring, without help, without classes, nothing. I got score an A. I won't share. Second time I took the test, I got a tutor to just improve some, like, basically the reading section, and got the same score. Okay, the next time I had a private tutor, I was taking classes, I read all the books. Okay, same score again. And repeat and repeat. So I could just not break this score that I was getting. I was going up in math, up in science, and just down in reading. I have no idea why. So I ended up almost scoring perfect on math by the end of it, because it was always part of my tutoring session, and so horrible on reading. I have no idea. That was just holding me back. So yeah, I couldn't really get my score up to where it was. And I think I kind of went to Ohio State as like a last minute, okay, I'm going to reassure myself that, I want to go somewhere else. If I go to Ohio State, I don't like it, then I have my decision. I was also being recruited at the same time as Jinsey Dunn, and she was the like top recruit of our class in the whole country. So it was kind of like a couple different schools had one spot left for a defenseman, and they were just kind of waiting to hear from her. And so I was kind of put in this like weird waiting state a little bit for a while. But I mean, it ended up working out. We ended up going to the same school, which was quite opposite of the plan, to be honest. It was kind of like, okay, she's going to go somewhere, and then I'm going to go somewhere else. But when I went to Ohio State, everything just clicked. I loved it so much. I got on campus, and I was like, this is my place. This is absolutely my place. I went to a really large high school, and some universities are even smaller than my high school. Like, my high school has more people than Bemidji State. So I was like, that's not good for me either. And then, yeah, the sports culture at Ohio State is just unlike anything you've ever seen. And that was it for me. I was like, okay, I have to go here. I was just waiting. Jinsey was going to go, I don't know. I thought she was going to go to Minnesota or Wisconsin for sure. And she's like, no, I'm going to Ohio State. And I was like, no, I want to go there. So I went on one more recruiting trip. And then after that, I was like, no, I'm sorry. I need to go to Ohio State. And I talked to the coach, and he's like, absolutely. You're so welcome. We'll make space for you. And that was it for me. That was perfect. I absolutely loved it.
Don't worry about the SAT score. I didn't do that well on mine, but mine was the math. I'm terrible at math. It's not my thing at all. It's the worst. So that was what I struggled with. So don't worry about that. We also did speak to Jinsey Dunn. She was on the podcast. She's going to be on the podcast soon. What was it like getting to
Hmm.
play with her?
I mean, she's such an intelligent hockey player. Um, she just like sometimes it doesn't even look like she's trying, and she's just making the right play. She's just very smooth. Um, yeah, when she wants to do something, she's just gonna get it done. That's pretty much it. Um, she's an absolute joy. She's a good friend. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just see her now as like she's just one of my teammates. She's the same as everybody else to me, um, because that's what our team culture was like. Um, but yeah, she's like some of the stuff she does. I'm like, where did you come up with that? That's like, excuse me, like I don't even know. She just like sometimes just pulls something out of nowhere, like a rabbit out of a hat, and just embarrasses somebody on the other team. Like it's so funny. Um, yeah, it's like those little moments that make her like stand out against the rest. Yeah.
Now, you were talking about how there's a few coaching transitions in your time at Ohio State, but I want to talk to you about Coach Mazzarell, who's the current head coach now. What was it like being a player under her, and what was it like being a player during many coaching transitions, and how did that affect you?
I'll touch on coaching transitions first. It was really weird when you make a commitment to go somewhere, play for somebody, and then before you even get there, they're gone. When I was literally on my way to Ohio State, that's when we found out who our coach was. I was like driving to move into my dorm, and we're just waiting to hear who's going to be our coach, you know? So you're taking this like leap of faith um, to arrive somewhere that I think coaches are very important in your selection of a school. And that was something definitely that I was looking for. Um, and yeah, it was just very, very strange, to be honest. Just having this like guessing game. And then the next year, getting a phone call from like I think they divided us into like three groups, and one person called us from each of these three staff members. So I got a call from our previous strength and conditioning coach. And I remember like it was yesterday, I was leaving the gym and I was like, why is Coach Tyler calling me? Answer the phone. Hey, yes. So we're going to have another new coach. And I was like, oh, really? you don't say. Um, and it was just like that for quite some time after that. Every single year, we had some new staff member of some sort. Either that was assistant coaches, strength and conditioning coach, athletic trainer, equipment manager. We changed just about every single person you can change throughout my 4 years. I think I calculated it, and it was I don't know. Well, I don't remember the number, but I mean, at Ohio State, we have resources. We have lots of resources, so we can have a person for everything, you know. And that may be like you have 17 people that are just for your team, or between your team and another team, and those 17 people, not a single one of them was there all 4 years that I was there. Um, and there were some moments that's like, oh my gosh, this is just getting ridiculous. Like, you know, some people were considering transferring. It was like talked about up in the air. Sometimes some people did transfer. Some people left. Like, it was just a really, really emotional roller coaster. And at the end of the day, I just saw it was more important to like keep consistency for somebody else. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm going through this many changes, but so is everybody else. And if I go somewhere or someone leaves, that's another change that everybody else who's going to stay is going to have to deal with. Um, and yeah, it was really, really stressful, and it was up and down, and it was a lot. Um, to be honest, mentally, that it was a lot. And then when Muzzy came, you knew Muzzy was in for the long haul. She was going to take this program and make it something good. She's like, I know what we have here. I just need to rearrange you in my way, and we're going to have something really good. And she moved her whole family. She moved her whole family from Minnesota to Ohio just to, take this opportunity. Um, I remember when when she first came, she told us this story, and she was talking with her husband, and he was like, "You're stupid if you don't take this job. It's Ohio State. There's no sports culture like Ohio State. If you don't take this job, you're stupid." And that was kind of the the way I felt when I was like walked on campus. I was like, if I don't go here, I'm stupid, because this is the best place you can be. Yeah, you knew she was just gonna stick it out, and turn the program, flip the program around, and she did exactly that. I mean, last year they won their first WCHA tournament. Was going to be second NCAA appearance. I mean, I hate to say it, but I think last year the girls had a good run for the title, and unfortunately that got shut down early. But I know my team. I know how they perform under these like underdog situations, and I think they would have really done well in the NCAA's this year, given the opportunity. So that's really unfortunate, but it is what it is, and everything happens the way it's supposed to happen at the end of the day. So
Yeah, and speaking
yeah.
of turning the program around, what was it like being a team below 500 and then going from a team that won over 20 games? What did you guys do during the off season to make such improvements, and what role did you play in that specifically?
So so my first year, I really got to experience Ohio State, like what Ohio State is. It is like, I mean, we have a reputation as a bit of a party school. We had a reputation as a party team when we weren't so great. Um, I got to meet some of the culprits of that, um, of that shenanigans, I guess I'll just call it. And we, fell in love with this like social life, balance with school, social life, and hockey. And there was obviously a priority in order, but it was kind of a, celebrate the wins, celebrate the losses, have a good time sort of situation, for a while. And then it really changed, after that. When Muzzy came around, she was like, this is not happening anymore. Like, we're completely changing everything. And my friend Charlie, who transferred into our junior year, was kind of watching this, season. She's like, okay, I went to a really, really good hockey school with not a lot of like people, and there's not so much to do. There's not really a whole lot of, stuff going on in North Dakota. And she's like, okay, I'm going to have a fun time, play some hockey, really enjoy, and graduate from a good school. And she got there and she's like, okay, how did this turn around on me? Now I'm playing for like one of the best hockey teams in the country. I have no social life, and I'm still at the amazing school. So that one stayed consistent. But it was really tough actually being below 500, because I, along with so many other people who play college sports, are so competitive. We hate losing. So after a while, everybody starts to fingers, blame each other, and that kind of like tears the team apart a little bit, which is why I think it was very important for us to be like, you win, you celebrate, you lose, you celebrate, because that was the only way we were going to stick together. And then when it did come to winning more than 20 games, it was, you never took a win for granted. I think sometimes teams like Wisconsin and Minnesota, when they win, they're not even like happy. They're not even surprised. It's just like, oh, we won again. Okay. Well, when we won, it doesn't matter who we beat. It was a big deal for us. And we would keep that momentum with us, carry it with us. And yeah, I don't know. But losing still hurt, you know? But we knew how to lose, which was great, because a lot of teams don't know how to lose. And they go into that toxicity immediately instead of, you know, hey guys, it's all right, I did this wrong, no worries, we fix it tomorrow. You know, that's the best thing about the WCHA is you always have Saturday. And then come Saturday, if you don't fix what you did before, then yeah, maybe you need to, you know, sit and reflect for a little bit. But I think it was more like we never took any wins for granted.
Yeah, and you also got the chance to grow the game a little bit. You played the South Korean team to start you off your junior year. Talk about what it was like playing them and helping grow the sport of hockey.
That was amazing. That was an amazing setup by our staff. It was so unique to have this experience. Um, when was this? I believe we played them right before our, no, I don't remember.
So it was before your junior year.
It was maybe the start of the season. I don't know why I was not. I don't know. I don't even remember the game very well. What I do remember is the big banquet dinner we had afterwards. Was because getting to speak with these girls about their experience, their life, talking to them. I think there was like a 16-year-old and a 40-year-old, you know, and just getting to hear them out, like how they got into the sport, talk to them about their life. Like everything's so different. I mean, on my team, yeah, we all have different backgrounds, we're all from different places, but relatively speaking, we're all kind of the same. And getting to speak with girls from the South Korean team was just like so different. And I know Hannah Brandt's sister was one of the biggest, like, you know, influences on the team. Is like she went there to be a part of growth and change and learning and helping these other girls, you know, have a team, have a structure, and you know, try to accelerate the sport in that way. And some of the conversations were just like laughing so much. Like I think we laughed at Tatum Skaggs the most out of everybody, because the girl knows how to say the wrong thing at the wrong time. And everybody was just having a good laugh at that. And everybody was like light in humor about it. And, you know, it was quite an experience just to get to talk to them, because you're kind of like crossing paths from out of nowhere. And I think that was really, really beautiful. Yeah.
And I want to talk to you also about your Frozen Four experience. You played Clarkson, who I think later went on to win that championship. What was it like being part of Ohio State's first Frozen Four appearance? And what do you remember from just the atmosphere, the setup, and playing that game?
Oh, it was awesome. I loved it, every second of it. It was really cool that it was in Minnesota, because all of my, I feel like I talk about me and Charlie as like a duo. All of my friends, family, everyone that I used to play with, my old coaches, um, all got to attend these games. So watching me grow from when I was, 6 years old to um, to when I'm 20 and playing in like the biggest game of my life, um, that was really really cool. It was like a full circle. Like, this is why I've gone through what I've gone through to play hockey. Um, it's hard after so many years of playing so many games to get nervous again. Sometimes I feel like you just feel this like little bit of like anxiousness, a little bit of nerves as a good thing, as fire, as fuel for your game, and they just become normal. And when you show up to the Frozen Four for the first time in program history, you are shaking, like shaking. Your palms are sweating and you are shaking. Um, it's a different kind of nervous all over again. But wow, it was fun. It was exciting. It was really, really good to feel that like passion within yourself, that um, change of chemistry within you to like find a whole different level of drive to play a game. I think that was like the best part of it all. Was just the excitement, how absolutely proud we were of ourselves and each other. Um, and I loved that we went in with it with no expectations whatsoever. We were the underdog. We love being the underdog. We always played best as the underdog. Um, and I think that was just, yeah, I don't know. I have no words. I just have this huge smile on my face thinking about these moments. It was really cool. Really cool.
Now, you in your senior year, you were named captain of the team. What was it like to be named captain? What leadership did you bring? And overall, what would you take? What would you take from your experience at Ohio State overall?
So I actually was not a captain. Um, and yeah, I did not get named captain my senior year. I didn't wear a letter at any point in Ohio State, actually. But for me, wasn't really that much of a difference. I wouldn't have, changed my style of leadership play anyways. I knew I was a leader in some ways or another. Um, and I knew the leadership styles of each of my classmates, of my teammates, that were wearing letters. So I knew what they offered that I didn't have, and I knew what I could offer to fill the gaps, because we all different and we all very like specialized. I know there's girls on the team that, I don't know, would rather go to anybody other than me for something, and I know there's girls on the team that would only ever come to me for something. And that was just kind of like I don't know, it's like an unwritten rule, like how I was gonna represent myself, and the team was not going to change whether I was going to have a letter or not. And I think that it was just yeah, I don't know. I think I was just in support of the other girls who were wearing letters. I had equal respect for them, and they had equal respect for me. It didn't really change much for me. I was, I took on different roles than that. Basically, all that left me out of was like a couple meetings every 2 weeks or something to talk about the leadership values. And they would just sit down together, the group of them, and talk about some stuff. But they would always come back like to everybody else anyway. So, um, yeah, I don't know. We just like all trusted in each other. So, letter or no letter wasn't really going to change how I was going to lead and listen in both ways.
And what do you take away overall from your time at Ohio State?
Wow. Overall, I think I learned a lot about commitment. Um, and now knowing that I have the strength to do all of that, I don't have to do it again. Um, because there was moments um, that I had 5 surgeries in 3 years playing. I played injured for probably 2 years, um, like 2 straight. I had a hernia all through my sophomore year, and then I had um, both my arms were completely messed up, all soft tissue problems. I had my arms taped up like candy canes for pretty much the rest of my career, but um, I had some major issues my junior year with that. Some days I couldn't even hold my stick, and here I was in the Frozen Fours. Like, so it really just depends what you're going to push yourself past. And I think I caused a lot more pain just pushing through some things, but I was not going to quit. I was not going to stop. And I used to have this like really, really, stubborn, I think I'm still stubborn, but I used to have this really stubborn sense of self that I was like, oh, I said I was going to do this and I'm going to do it 100% all the way through. And I also had some, mental health complications, problems, I don't know what to call it, throughout um, my whole career, I guess, at Ohio State. It's just a lot. There's a lot to put on your plate. And when you feel responsible for so many different things, sometimes it happens, and it's not abnormal for like college athletes to feel inadequate in lots of ways. Because everything's being measured, everything's being recorded, and you're always being watched. So you just start to put the pressure too much on yourself. So I think it taught me the most about commitment. I made it through, thrived, to be honest. But on the inside, I was just breaking down, breaking down, breaking down. And I had the opportunity to play in the NWHL. I was drafted in the NWHL out of college. And I was offered to play in Europe. I was offered to play in Asia. I even got offered to play in Australia after I arrived here. I was, I thought about coaching. I thought about all these things. And I just had run out of gas, I guess. I fulfilled my commitment with Ohio State playing there to the fullest. And 2 days after graduation, I had my 5th surgery. Like, I was walking through Ohio Stadium with a graduation cap on and then walked into an operating room 2 days later. And after that, after I left Ohio, I was just kind of like ready to put hockey on a pause in my life. And that's part of the reason that I ended up moving to Australia. I just needed to start over. And I'm a whole different person than I was then. And I know a lot about commitment now. If I say I'm going to do something, of course I'm going to do it. But it's okay to say no. And it's okay to back down from things to take care of yourself when it's getting to be too much. And I think these are the biggest life lessons that I could have learned, because otherwise it would have been just a stress head for the rest of my life.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely some good advice to hear. What advice would you give players who are in college hockey right now, like myself, and what advice would you give them in trying to get through your 4 years and trying to win a championship potentially?
Advice: prioritize. I mean, take care of what you got to take care of. Some days you got to give up an extra hour just to take care of your body before practice, or 3 days a week if you're me. It's just prioritize what's going to set you up for success. And just making like little sacrifices here and there is what's going to push you forward in the long run. It's the little things that make the biggest difference. And it's so cliche, but it's very true. And I think it's very important as well, that you know what you're there for. So if it's your priority to have your college education, then you're going to put school a little bit before hockey sometimes. But you're also a student athlete. You have to put your sport at the top. Of course, they always tell us this: school comes first. No, it doesn't. Yeah, it really doesn't. It's second. It's second to sports until you're failing, and then it comes first because then you actually can't even play. Yeah, just finding your priorities, I think, is the best piece of advice that I have. Enjoy it. Stop for a second. Don't take everything so seriously, and take criticism with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, somebody telling you that you need to fix your skating stride does not really impact your whole life. Yeah, it might be a little bit like annoying or hurtful at the beginning. If somebody's going to correct you, somebody's going to tell you this or that, or you need to be better, this, that. It's really not going to have a huge impact on your whole life. I walked out of Ohio State feeling like I had 4 big fat NCAA championship rings on, and I have none. I have 0. And I feel the same pride in my experience as if I did. And I think that's just because I was able to enjoy what I had and enjoy the progress, and at the end of the day, it's not the rest of your life. Maybe if you're gonna play in the NHL, and you're a guy, then yeah, maybe it is going to be the rest of your life. Okay, but for us women, it's not, and we have a lot else to look forward to. But it's yeah, I don't know. Stop and enjoy it. There's no other time in your life that you get to do something with so much attention. Like, come on, you're traveling every other weekend to play a sport, a game you love. And for girls, it's the top of the top. It's the best there is. And it's just really cool. Like, treat yourself like a pro.
Now, another thing is, what can we do as a podcast to improve, and what can I do as an interviewer to get better?
Let me think. I don't know. I think you do really well, actually. You kind of phrase your questions like, you go ahead, you tell me what you want to say, which sometimes, like for me, my brain goes 7 different directions all at once. So sometimes I get a little bit off and I'm like, what was the question again? But it's nice to just be able to share in my way more than being so guided. So I like that actually a lot, that you do that. Just question in a very open response way. Da, 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 da. Oh no. Oh, the only thing, I wasn't a captain. That was it. I think, as far as like fact checking goes, but
Yeah, I messed up. I'm sorry.
it's all good. I don't care. If you want to think of me as a captain, go for it. I'll be the captain.
Do you have any comments you like to make to any friends, family members, or teammates?
Pardon me?
Do you have any shout outs you'd like to give to any friends, family members, or former teammates?
Oh, absolutely. Um, I mean, I have publicity's everything. I was a marketing major, so let me just like shout out quick to the man who made me strong, Jamie. Thank you so much. Jamie was my strength and conditioning coach since I was 9 years old. He built my body exactly how it was to perform as best as it could. I owe him a lot for that. I stopped working out with girls at some point because it was like I didn't have a partner, you know. So I'm in there with like 6 guys who are all like 2 years older than me, and it's just like, what is going on in here? And he just like laugh at the situation every time, because he knew I could probably like kick their ass. So Jamie just opened a new gym for himself, and super proud of him. So all the Minnesota kids, you know, Jamie's your guy. Other Jamie and Tim, my coaches in high school, thank you. Like I spoke very highly of you, and I mean every word. You guys are great. Thank you so much. To Nate, thanks for recruiting by character. You're awesome. Jenny Potter taught me what it was like to be in good shape. I've never felt pain like Jenny enforced on our conditioning. She goes, I don't care if you're going to be the best team, you're going to be the best conditioned team. And I think that really actually lasted through the rest of my career, the next 3 years playing with Nadine as well. I was in really good shape, and by the third period, my engine's still running, and some people are dying off a little bit. Mostly other teams. I think our team had very, very good conditioning. Muzzy, thanks for believing in us. Thanks for taking us on.